When James Gunn first unveiled his Gods and Monsters slate, he confirmed that The Batman Part 2 by Matt Reeves would be part of what he called Elseworlds. But since then, we've heard very little about what that movie is. People are looking at set photos that include a Gotham Gazette newspaper front page that mentions Bliss. Rumors from the Liverpool area have said that extras were setting up in an area that looks like it had been flooded, maybe? So people are thinking, is this the floodwaters from Riddler's bombing of the seawalls and that we saw in a flashback episode of The Penguin? The longer he waits, the more this movement is going to get momentum. Maybe it's going to be the finale of Peacemaker that we haven't seen yet. Will James Gunn merge the Matt Reeves, Robert Pattinson Batman crime saga universe with the rest of the DC universe, despite explicitly and repeatedly saying he will not do that? Rumors. I think we really need to talk about why this is such a big debate in this episode of The Rumor Rundown, where the hosts of New Rockstars investigate the wildest rumors that nerds and newsmen can't make heads or tails of, applying our own backgrounds in journalism and Hollywood connections, and finally confirming whether those rumors are honest scoops or bullshit poops. We are Erik, Voss, and Jessica Clemons. Hello, Jess.
Harumph. Harumph indeed.
Harumph. You're feeling okay. Jess is feeling a little...
I feel great. I feel perfect, and I've never been better.
Jess has been working really hard lately, and just we're just, you know what we're really tired of is just deliberate misinformation on the internet, and that's what this episode of The Rumor Rundown's just gonna dip our toes into, because I think this is actually becoming a fascinating conversation online, and I'm not really judging it either way. I just find it fascinating. A lot of you, after watching the previous 2 weeks episodes of The Rumor Rundown, were very confused what the show even was, but we're just drawn to New Rockstars because of the topic we were talking about, a topic that we are done talking about. Don't worry. But they're like, why is he wearing sunglasses? And I'm like, oh, wonderful question. Well, The Rumor Rundown is just a weekly podcast. And I know it's different from a lot of other videos we're doing on New Rockstars, but we have been doing it for the past 6 months.
Yeah, we've been doing it for a minute.
Welcome to the party, my friend. And I wear the sunglasses as like a stupid bit, and I agree that it's stupid. But because we're talking about scoops and rumors, and we're kind of doing a deep throat thing, I used to really commit fully to this. And I would wear a jacket, and I would wear a hat, and I would wear the sunglasses so that I really looked like Alf when he goes out in public. Remember Alf? He's been in Pog form before. And,
what's a Pog?
Excellent question, Jessica. Let's do a half hour on Pogs. No, but it's hot. It's hot in Los Angeles right now. I don't want to wear a jacket. I'll sweat even in the coldest of months wearing that jacket. It's meant for to keep Joel warm in Wyoming. Okay, but here's what we're going to talk about. This whole conversation around merge or don't merge. The rumor we're going to talk about today is just one big rumor that, is being handed to us by someone who just looks like they really, really did not like the 2023 The Flash movie. You can tell. And they're handing me this.
Stephen King liked that one.
Stephen King said that he liked it. James Gunn said that he liked it. Tom Cruise said it would save movies.
You can like a lot of things.
Yeah. And, hey, there's things that you can totally like about that movie. The amount that it was praised, though, definitely backfired. We'll get into that. Okay, here's the rumor that we're talking about today. James Gunn actually plans to merge Matt Reeves' version of Gotham City and Batman from the 2022 The Batman movie and the 2024 The Penguin series with the rest of the DCU that James Gunn has been building for Superman, Peacemaker, and that we will see again in Lanterns, Supergirl, Clayface, and now Man of Tomorrow. That is the rumor. And the rumor is not sourced to any one particular person, but really just to a lot of people online. So this is kind of a debate that certain corners of the fandom are having. James Gunn has been pretty clear that he plans to build a separate DCU Gotham, and we're seeing that Gotham come together in set photos for Clayface. It was hinted at in the Superman film, hinted at in Peacemaker season 2, and we have seen an animated form in Creature Commandos. But James Gunn hasn't given us a ton of details about what that Gotham is, what the Batman movie will be, other than saying that we're going to get a Brave and the Bold movie at some point. So in that absence of information, a lot of people who are big fans of the Matt Reeves Gotham that we saw in the 2022 The Batman film really, really want that to be the official Gotham City. They want to merge these two universes. They don't want that to be an Elseworlds universe. They want that to be the only Gotham that we live in this era. And you know, that is not exactly what James Gunn has said. Part of it is because that version of Gotham was explored and built before James Gunn and Peter Safran took over DC Studios, so it wasn't really part of his plan. But he has adopted other things that were loosely part of the DC world before, you know, that happened. That includes like snippets of Argus that we saw in Black Adam and in a post-credit scene for Shazam! Fury of the Gods. Even what he did with the Suicide Squad in 2021, used pieces from David Ayer's 2016 Suicide Squad, you know, so we don't really know. And Jess, I think we should both say at the top, we don't really care that much which way they go. If James Gunn were to decide to merge, fine. If he decides that the Matt Reeves Batman is its own Elseworld, also fine. I really don't have a stake in this. So if you come at us saying and trying to take what we say out of context, saying that we do have a dog and we're trying to spread propaganda, just know that all we're trying to do in this video is present everything that's out there, present both sides of this debate, and let you decide which one you would prefer. Don't put words in our mouths. Don't try to make us look like we're fighting you, because we don't really care. We don't really care where it goes.
The only way we'll fight you guys is on Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
And then in that fight, I still know I'm wrong, so it's okay.
Yes. Any take you have about Christopher Nolan, we will counter it.
You'll probably be right. You'll probably be right over me, at least. I know that. That's a belief I'm not changing. I'm sorry.
The thing is, we are completely addicted to the Christopher Nolan Kool-Aid. So, you know, we are irrational. We're crazy. Like, if that take is Matt Reeves 2022, The Batman is better than The Dark Knight, you're wrong. The Dark Knight's a better movie.
I can never say that.
Although, actually, in fairness,
I can't say that out loud.
I don't think,
even if I felt it in my chest, I don't know.
The Dark Knight is a better movie. The Batman, though, is a better Batman movie.
Yeah, I think we've talked about that before, and I agree with that. And I agree with that. My heart, or not even my heart, I don't know if it's my brain or my heart at this point, are like, Jessica, don't say that. Jessica, don't say that. Christopher Nolan's listening. Yeah.
I think just that monologue from The Batman, the opening and closing monologues are like the best Batman has ever been on the big screen.
I love it. It's so good. I maybe it's also nostalgia feeds into the Batman for me. Yeah. For Christopher Nolan. It was so long ago. We were in a different time.
Yeah, and I think part of it is like The Dark Knight was so transcendent. Yeah. It lifts up Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises in ways that maybe they shouldn't be. They were not. Those other two movies are very, 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 very good, but are not as good as Christopher Nolan's average work.
And there's just a generation of people that's their Batman.
And
which is insane.
I'm that generation.
I meant like they were like born in 2000.
I was not.
Because I was like, that's crazy that was their first Batman that they got to see. I'm like, that's crazy. That's nuts. I think mine was the Val Kilmer one.
Yeah, mine was, I remember seeing on VHS the Tim Burton 1989 Batman. And I think that was my earliest memory of seeing a live action Batman on any screen.
And let me tell you, I think those traditions stick very hard in your heart, because I love my Val Kilmer Batman. Yeah, I love my Val Kilmer. That movie was insane and too much, but I love my Val Kilmer
completely unhinged. Batman. Me too. Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones, Nicole Kidman. I mean, definitely for me,
crazy,
absolutely wild. And I saw that. That was the first Batman I saw in a movie theater for sure. I saw that, and I saw Batman and Robin.
Was it
in the movie theaters?
It was Uma Thurman.
Uma Thurman was in Batman and Robin with Schwarzenegger.
Oh, was it? Okay, I thought she was in mine. That makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That was the Clooney Batman, and also completely unhinged. They just the Schumacher era is I love it, but yes, very fun, but got completely unhinged, in the best possible way. But So, but I do agree with everyone who loves the Matt Reeves the Batman that like it did things that like no other Batman live action film had done. And I want to preserve that. And I do want that to be the center of attention in a lot of ways. But we do have to just look at the reality of what James Gunn has said. I'm just going to run through everything he has said about his plans for Batman. In 2023, in January, when James Gunn first unveiled his Gods and Monsters slate, he confirmed that the Batman Part 2 by Matt Reeves would be part of what he called Elseworlds, and that the DCU of the Superman stories that he was telling would have a separate Batman that would be in a Brave and the Bold movie. He had no release date for Brave and the Bold. He just said Brave and the Bold, and from that we gathered it would be a version of Batman that had a son, Damian Wayne Robin, and that we could extrapolate from there. The Al Ghuls would be part of that story. But since then, we've heard very little about what that movie is. We knew at the time that it would be, I think at the time it was announced that Andy Muschietti would at least be the first look director for it. He would look at the script and he would have the first right of first refusal and decide whether or not he wanted to direct it. In the years since then, James Gunn and Peter Safran have confirmed that Muschietti would still have this first look option when the script was done, and that James Gunn confirmed that there was a mystery screenwriter working on that script. This was earlier this year in 2025, but James Gunn didn't say who that screenwriter was. But in January 2025, Creature Commandos episode 6 came out, which explored the backstory of Dr. Phosphorus, Alex Sartorius, coming from Gotham City, and it showed us a different Gotham City than we had seen before. It was an animation, and it was green tinted, and it kind of looked like the Batman, the animated series version of Gotham. Gargoyles, police blimp searchlights everywhere, a Batman with a lightning bolt striking behind him, a bulkier Batman that James Gunn deliberately left in silhouette because he wanted to have the flexibility to decide what this version of Batman would look like, but a decidedly different Batman than Robert Pattinson. Like James Gunn has often had versions of characters look in animation different than they look in live action, but you could see some similarities. This was definitely going for something different. And he even confirmed that in an interview with Josh Horowitz when he asked him about this. And James Gunn also in that interview, though, Horowitz had just talked to Matt Reeves at a red carpet event, and Matt Reeves said, well, I would love it if he kind of indicated that he would love if the Batman, his version of Batman with Pattinson, would be the DCU Batman. But I think he just kind of left it vague, saying, we're talking about everything. And then when Horowitz asked Gunn about that after the fact, this is back in January of this year, Gunn said, quote, I'm considering it. But he also said, I'm considering everything. So that gave a lot of pro-merge people hope, understandably. However, after Superman came out, this was on July 18th, 2025. He did another interview with Josh Horowitz, James Gunn did, and James Gunn confirmed that the DCU Batman will not be Robert Pattinson. He said that The Brave and the Bold and any additional DCU Batman movies will not release in the same calendar year as any Matt Reeves Batman movie. So that means in 2027, we will not have any DCU Batman movie. The soonest we would see it would be in 2028. As to why the people who want the merge to happen, why they have hope, yeah, there was that December 5th interview that James Gunn did with Josh Horowitz saying that he did contemplate merging Robert Pattinson's Batman with the DCU, that he contemplated everything. There's also the hope that Matt Reeves gave at this red carpet interview. And now there's the more recent stuff. Clayface is in production in Liverpool, and this is going to be the first live action version of Gotham City that we've seen in James Gunn's era. And people are looking at set photos that include a Gotham Gazette newspaper front page that mentions Bliss. Bliss was the name of the drug from the Penguin, which is part of the Matt Reeves Gotham. Rumors from the Liverpool area have said that like extras were setting up in an area that looks like it had been flooded, maybe. So people are thinking, is this the floodwaters from the Riddler's bombing of the seawalls and that we saw in a flashback episode of The Penguin? Also, yeah, they're shooting Gotham in, of all cities, Liverpool. And Liverpool was the city Matt Reeves selected for his version of Gotham. They're using a lot of the same city structures. So people are like, this is gonna look the same. So why can't it just be the same? But we also just have to bring up the true details that for every set detail that suggests that Clayface is the same Gotham as Matt Reeves' Gotham, you can find another piece of evidence that says the contrary, that it's actually part of James Gunn's Metropolis's universe and not the Gotham that we saw in the Penguin and the Batman, specifically the Gotham Police Department shield that you see on the side of the cars. It's completely different. Now, that may be a small detail. You also see Jitters Coffee, that James Gunn introduced this specific logo design in Superman, and we're seeing it in Peacemaker. Jitters, it was introduced in the Flash comics in 2010 as like Barry Allen's favorite brand of coffee.
And these are things that are in Clayface, or these things in the new Batman?
We're seeing it in Clayface.
Okay.
So Clayface being, we assume it's not going to be Elseworlds.
Yeah.
Clayface is going to be DCU. And I think another reason why the pro-merge crowd is so passionate about this is not only do they really love the Matt Reeves, the Batman, and what Pattinson did with the character, I think we all agree that was incredible. I think a lot of people just don't like the idea of two different Batmen that they have to keep track of at the same time.
And I agree with that. I understand, because I also think we just are in this, like we talk about it all the time. We're in the business of it. So it's like, yeah, we kind of see the differences. I also think David Zaslav would love for that to be also a thing, for the merger to be just the Robert Pattinson Batman, because we just know how much money it does and how well it does. But I do think that Peter Safran and James Gunn are like, let's pull back. Because remember that there was that, what was that? It was like a tentpole kind of meeting where David Zaslav was like pitching a bunch of stuff or saying a bunch of things were going to happen. And then James had to intervene and be like, like, calm down, like settle down. It was more about like the Peter Safran saying like, we're bringing this person and this person and this person. And James was like, maybe. Please stop. So
Zaslav was saying that?
Yeah, Zaslav. Safran was agreeing with James. Zaslav was the one that like, he like pitched how important Superman, I think he said like Superman, Wonder Woman, and Batman are so important that they're coming immediately. And James was like James had to step front. So I think even in the press saying like, I'm considering all of them is also still kind of telling David Zaslav like, oh, just keep him down, because I don't want to. You don't upset the man, I guess.
Right? Yeah. And then so just to be clear on the leadership structure here, James Gunn and Peter Safran are the co-heads of DC Studios, which is a division of Warner Brothers, and David Zaslav is in charge of Warner Brothers. He's really the CEO of the whole conglomerate, including AT&T, Discovery, all of it. Jesus. Yeah, it's a huge company now. There may even be people that like are in between him, like, but whatever, he's their ultimate boss. So like, he's what Bob Iger is to Kevin Feige.
But
on
I
the
think
Disney
Bob
side.
Iger gets more pull than David Zaslav does. Oh, well, no, he does, because he got to rip the cord on movies. He got to rip the full cord. He got to bring the rug out from underneath 2 movies, dude.
And there's a lot of like studio politics involved here, but like basically Bob Iger was brought back to Disney after the Chapek era, but even Bob Iger was kind of confined by a power struggle on the executive board of Disney. So he really he couldn't go crazy, basically. He had to basically follow a script of rules that they expected from him.
I think like stock still also, like everything comes. I think Disney's a lot bigger in their regards, because the parks are also involved, that I'm like, that's a big shark. That's a big ocean. That's a big ocean.
Right. And Disney is just kind of in a different situation where, yes, so much of their money comes from parks and experiences and merchandise. And a lot of those parks are international real estate issues as opposed to like specific movie franchise decisions. David Zaslav is dealing with a lot of weird merger and acquisition politics, from AT&T buying Warner Brothers Discovery and what all that means. And there's been a lot of weird like streaming confusion over how to brand HBO as Max. That factors into a lot of this. They're still trying to figure out, to be honest.
We always like tease a little bit of this talk about acquisitions every time we do sneak peek or rumor rundown, and I'm like, one day we'll just do a full episode on it, because it is the math of it. Because even Disney's dealing, but Disney's like kind of owning those acquisitions. They're the ones that are like, we're merging things into us. Warner Brothers is doing something.
But what this means for James Gunn and his plan for Batman and for the DCU is that for now they are really trusting Gunn and Safran to call the shots. I think they just want a Batman movie to come out. I think Zaslav is satisfied enough with a Batman movie on the schedule for 2027. I don't think he cares whether or not it's merged or not. I think he just wants billion-dollar Batman movies, and The Batman made pretty good money in 2022. It distributed in China. It was one of like the last COVID era movies to really do that well in China.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. So I bet David Zaslav's like, if you want to put a second one out immediately.
Yeah, I'm sure he's like, sooner the better. But there's also like a side to like what the reason I think I felt so compelled to talk about this is like there's a lot of misinformation that's happening on Twitter where people are kind of talking past each other and just like sharing evidence of a Clayface set photo and saying, see, this is why the merge is happening. there's a lot of like, and we see this all the time in all kinds of different like fan movements of people just like assuming something is the case because they really want it to be the case. And in this case, I really understand why they want it to be the case. Like, I loved the Gotham of the 2022 The Batman movie, and I really love that version of Batman. But I also really love what James Gunn has been cooking so far. And I'm right now, I kind of don't want to put words in his mouth. I want him to just try, you know, and to give that a chance. I think also there's some very understandable hesitation from people when they see that Andy Muschietti's name is attached to whatever Brave and the Bold is, only because they had some real gripes with the 2023 The Flash movie and what that did. I also think, though, they're a little unfair to Andy Muschietti when it comes to that movie. Yes, the buck stopped with him. He was the director of the movie, and there's a lot of stuff that happens in that movie that is completely nonsensical and weird, and I just did not like it. But there's also a lot of cool shit that happens in that movie that I think, having seen Andy Muschietti's work in the 2 It movies, I still think this guy is capable of really good filmmaking. This is not a wholesale defense of the 2023 The Flash movie.
Sounds like you really like the
Flash. Oh yeah, I know. There's gonna be people on Twitter who will clip out. Good movie. They will clip out just part of the sentence I just said, and I can't wait to see you do it.
It's not a good movie. I'm sorry, you guys. I tried.
Ultimately, the final product is mixed results.
It's crazy, dude. It's a nutso movie, but I did like what's his name coming back? Not George Clooney.
Keaton.
Yeah, Michael. Oh my god.
And a lot of
I had so much fun. A lot of the action of the way
Keaton wears that suit again, it looks pretty cool to see him in action again.
Keaton. I had a lot of fun with Keaton. That was like the one part of the movie that I did enjoy. I was like, oh, the ending in the beginning, and then I got confused. Okay, sorry, we're getting into
I think even the wish fulfillment plot elements that Christina Hodson wrote in the script, I get that, and I like that. It was just hard to watch so much Ezra in that movie after knowing what kind of person Ezra proved to be in their legal troubles.
Even that, I was like, that 100%. And then I was also just, it felt like there was pieces that were missing that I assumed they probably just cut, because they had all that time with that movie afterwards. I was like, oh, I'm sure they removed some scenes, and then I just got literally confused, and I was like, okay.
And the whole multiverse sequence,
that's what I got confused.
Bringing back Nicolas Cage's appearance, the Christopher Reeve, I really left a bad taste in my mouth. Okay. Yeah, and then the George Clooney ending, I think if without all that other stuff, the Clooney ending might have made sense as just like a jokey tag, you know, especially with the tooth falling out like that. It was so unhinged. So I think for a lot of people that was just like too jokey for a Batman. But I think if you're willing to let yourself forget the stuff you didn't like in the Flash and just look at the Batman elements. Yeah, I know. And I think that's ultimately what it is. It's just not possible.
That's how it works in customer service. 9 times out of 10, you're going to remember the bad experiences over the good ones. Every time you go to Jamba Juice, you'll just go there. But if you had one bad time, you're like, well, I hate that Jamba Juice. Yeah. Because I had that one bad time.
I just think Muschietti did enough in that movie to where I'm like, I would like to see this guy's take on Batman. And part of it was the cinematographer was the same cinematographer that James Gunn used for Superman. So a lot of the visuals and the type of lens they used to shoot Batman action, I would still like to see that in a movie.
That makes sense why we got those close-ups of Superman's face. Just like how the Flash, when he's running like this, I was like, this is identical. Yeah. I mean, I also don't give like directors a flack for making one bad movie. And then I also, when it's something like The Flash or something that just has like big movie like that, I'm like, there's so many hands. There's so many hands in that pot. And that movie took forever to come out. So I assume like this man didn't get to touch every inch of it. Yeah. Sorry for my cursing. But I'm not giving him flack for this. It was great.
Yeah. And honestly, I'm more concerned about what the script for that movie is and the casting of everyone in it. The chemistry between Bruce and Damian, I think will be so important. And making sure that Batman has chemistry with David Cornsweet's Superman. I think that connection is really very
the chemistry
important.
No chemistry?
No, we gotta have some kind of love-hate chemistry, right?
That's why I'm like, the chemistry is, I'm irritated with this man.
Right? Yeah, that's a shade of chemistry.
That's a shade. Yeah. I think James, if he has any say in like the casting, the Batman's gonna be wonderful. I can't wait to see what child they choose. Because I don't know the children. I don't know any child.
That's
period.
Scary. That is scary because a lot of like child actors, like, and you just look at Joel and Ellie on The Last of Us, like kids grow up to be different people that don't always fit the character. So, and also I worry about young actors.
They were also already kind of old, right? At the first season of The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's the thing. I don't really know. I don't know anyone that's like 12 or 13.
Right.
Like, I don't want, because there's no Disney kids like that anymore, period. And then the shows that Disney does have, they're like 19, 20. And so I'm like, I genuinely don't know who you're choosing. Yeah. I think, honestly, to me, it's probably going to be someone great. Like it was with Adolescents and 28 Years Later. I didn't know who both those boys were, but they were phenomenal.
Right.
So I think that's how I'm assuming it's going to be handled.
Either of them could make a great Damian Wayne. What I'm saying is, like, I'm just worried about a young actor, not that they won't be good, but that, like, the pressure on this role.
That's what happens.
Will just like, I mean, whoever this actor is, make sure they're not on social media, I guess is
that's what
part of the solution.
Sophie Turner told the people playing in the new Harry Potter. She told them, like, just don't get on social media. And I felt so bad because I was like, girl, you were on Game of Thrones. Like, you were immediately hated. Like, the way people liked about the children on Game of Thrones, they took to heart. I feel like the young Harry Potter kids might get a better deal, at least a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Child actors, they get, especially in fandoms, oh my God.
It's a whole thing.
I wish they just, I have a different beef about children actors in Hollywood, period, but I don't like it. I hate it. I think they should wait until they're 14 and they can make a decision for themselves.
Yeah.
That's just me.
So this question of, I think we have to at least say that for anybody who wants these universes to be merged, the Matt Reeves Gotham to be merged with the James Gunn Metropolis to be part of the same universe, I think that's a completely reasonable want. But it is not doing this any favors to talk online as if it is already true. And that is like, I don't know how we fix that in online discourse of people like dunking on each other when they're just pointing out the facts of what James Gunn has said. And it's already begun. It's already happened to me. Just talking like, well, James Gunn said this, and they're like, you are lying. You're lying. And it's like the discourse is just getting so insane that it's like, we can't even talk about this as if it's a conjecture. You're now like so eager for this to be true that you are just deciding it's true and bullying everyone who says that it's not true yet.
Yeah. Well, I think that's just unfortunately how the internet works, is even if everyone wasn't as passionate or they did agree, there's going to be a channel that does it, there's going to be a Twitter account or Instagram that's posting it against it for a reason, and that's because a lot of people are going to get traction to it. I think it's just going to, when people are searching, I mean, that's what the internet was made, right? For the communities at first. It was like to find like minds. So they want to hear what they want to hear regardless. And like, again, at the end of the day, they don't have to talk about this again. They just get to go home or roll around in the grass or do something else. They don't have to go and like, they can just turn off their computers and walk away when this is like our jobs. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, they're going to fight. They're going to fight. Even if you came with like actual receipts, they're going to always fight. I mean, and I get it too. Again, like I want Wanda to come back, but until they say Wanda's there, I'm not going to assume she's back.
Yeah. And they're fighting for something that they believe is truly virtuous. And I don't think there's anything wrong to like want people to rewatch the Batman and the Penguin. It's all really good. I do think it is possible to have multiple Batman at the same time that are facing different types of threats. Only because I really love Pattinson's Batman so much that I don't want to sully him by having to fight. Like there is a way that you could have that Batman fight a sorceress or fight a shapeshifter or fight an alien. It's possible, but I think there is a richer side to him that is just a detective dealing with like domestic terrorism or crime or organized crime. There's all types of more nuanced stories that if suddenly that Batman is thrust into a world where he's fighting sorcerers, it just like we lose part of what makes him so great. So I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm not saying it could never work. I just think it might be a bit harder to force that Batman into a world that is already diving deep into multiverse logic and sorcery and magic and extraterrestrial threats. And I think there could be a Batman that separately is teaming up with the Justice Gang to face on those. And I think we could love both of those Batmen at the same time. I think we can have both. Abundance theory is what I'm saying.
I like the idea of switching the Batman though and putting Robert Pattinson in the comic booky world of Metropolis for a minute and him being like, there was a protest against me yesterday because I'm rich. Like there's like Batman's like, I'm actually dealing with grounded shit. I would like to go home now. I don't want to fight this alien again.
I think what James Gunn is trying to do with the whole Elseworld side of it is not to downgrade Elseworld, but to protect those Elseworlds. And I think this is a lesson that we all had to learn the hard way with the MCU, is that as soon as you bring in cosmic alien threats like Thanos, suddenly it's just hard to make audiences care
about the other thing,
about the smaller things when they're in the same world. And I think that there is a way that Pattinson's Batman could deal with threats, like even there could be a grounded version of Mr. Freeze. Or like the Court of Owls and Talon, the history of Gotham City that could get explored. Even like, I mean, I don't know what the plan ultimately will be for Clayface, but like people like Clayface that have to deal with like smaller problems. But I worry that if Batman has to now deal with like threats of media manipulation, calling an extraterrestrial someone who's trying to build a secret harem, interdimensional imps. Like I never want to see Pattinson's Batman have to deal with Batmite. But Batmite could show up in a scene with Corn Sweat Superman and Green Lantern and Hawkgirl in a different version of Batman in a way that could be very fun.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so that's all I'm trying to do. Is I'm not trying to say that any one of these worlds will be less than, but I do think James Gunn, the longer he waits, the more this movement is going to get momentum. And like maybe all it will take is like, maybe it's going to be the finale of Peacemaker that we haven't seen yet.
Oh, maybe.
Maybe it will be something that comes up in Lanterns or Supergirl
or he'll just
Clayface.
Deal with it. I feel like he has pretty good skin.
Yeah.
He gets more irritated that like, no, this is a lie. Like he'll correct journalists, but I think he's just like, let them think, and then I'll come at a different time. Remember, this man got immediately bombarded for his tweets like 15 years ago.
Oh, for
and
sure.
It was from every angle. So it's like this man has been dealing with like people yelling at him for ages.
Yeah, as good as like we think any of these accounts that is constantly online is at social media, James Gunn is better at it.
James Gunn is better at it.
He is unique as a studio head, as someone who has lived his entire adult career on social media. He was on, before even Facebook existed, he was on MySpace and LiveJournal doing his thing. He was one of the earliest Twitter accounts back when Twitter had less than 100,000 users. He has suffered as a result of some dumb jokes that he posted. He got fired briefly, but then found a way to still be good at all this. And as soon as like Threads and Blue Sky opened up, that man created accounts. He is actively posting on all of these accounts.
He was the only reason I was on. Was it Megadon? What was the other one?
Oh, Mastodon.
That's the thing, is he's got people following him to other places.
And he is everywhere. We know from inside sources that we have that this guy is like up late at night checking certain things from all of his emails and all of his different accounts.
Wait, so he is Superman with the and he's dealing with the monkeys?
He is.
Oh my god!
I mean, the monkey bots was a joke about people who are constantly saying things about him that aren't true, and he is ahead of all of it. And so I don't think he's that afraid of like taking his time with it. I think his priorities are, let's just make these scripts good, and whatever the best script is will win. I don't think he's so committed to any plan that is in his head, and I think that's why there were things that he announced with Gods and Monsters in January 2023 that he's let go of. Like, we haven't heard anything about the Authority. Well, we have heard things about it, but it's gotten delayed. You know, like there were certainly things that he had planned to do, and he's put other projects ahead of that just because that project had a good script that was ready to shoot. And I think that's a very, very good thing. Like, we should be grateful that we have someone running a studio who has those priorities in check. So that's where we're at. Again, we don't have a dog in this fight. If ultimately what James Gunn decides is that the DCU Gotham is just going to be the Matt Reeves Gotham, great. It means that the scripts that were involved with that are that good. But we do think that there is a version of this that could totally work where there is a Batman who is just more plugged in with the Justice Gang and dealing with fantastical threats that I will love just as much as whatever Matt Reeves has planned for the Batman Part 2 and Part 3 and Part 4 and however many movies they want to make. So in the rumor rundown, we always end every episode judging the scoop that we got as a scoop or a poop. And I don't even want to say this is a scoop or a poop, but ultimately I think anyone who's saying that this is already decided that it is merged,
that's a poop.
That's a poop.
That's
and
a
you guys
poop.
should stop doing that because it's just spreading misinformation. And I know you really want it, but there's like better, more nuanced ways to do that. And I invite you to join us on this crusade we have here at New Rockstars to try to bring nuance to things that normally have zero nuance, like fan debates on social media. All right, so that's everything for this episode of the Rumor Rundown. You can follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemons. You can follow me, Eddie A. Voss. Big thanks to Brian Kim for producing and editing this episode. And thanks, everybody. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.